I'm Rob Patz.
Hey, I'm Jason Webb. Rob, Thursday, thrive on Thursday. We're here. We've made it. It's been a week, right?
It has been a week. I got to tell you something, and this is really serious because Jason was scared and took a couple weeks off of the show to start right after March Madness. So I really didn't get to talk about it. It's not that we're dating the show, but I really didn't get a chance to talk about my victory and winning in the bracket challenge, and I felt really bad because it was so late, and people were like, why did you talk about it so late? But the reality is I felt so good about myself that I had to. It was my own self. I was like, well, I could do this for me. It's for me. And of course, then I had to post on Facebook because nothing becomes true until it's posted on Facebook.
Facebook official, right?
Yes. It's
I'm never going to hear the end of this, even though I won 6 more games in the whole bracket, but you won the big one. I get it. Doesn't matter.
It's again. I called Tom Brady. He said the same thing. It doesn't matter if you don't win the Super Bowl. It's the same thing. And he's like, dude, you're just like, busting my jam here, man. I'm out getting ready for the NFL draft.
We are, Rob, and this week, we're all about hope this week. We just passed Easter with Resurrection Sunday. It's all about hope. It's all about renewal, all about just belief. And then the NFL draft comes up tonight on Thursday here, where now everybody has hope. It doesn't matter which team you are in the league, whether
you really think. I mean, I got to be honest with you, and I live in Ohio. Do you really think there's anybody in Cleveland that has hope for anything? I mean, come on, man.
I think so, but I am a Denver Bronco, and they really don't like us too much in Cleveland. We've taken them out of a Super Bowl a few times.
Yeah, a few times, yeah. Well, so when I moved here, I'm a Seahawks fan, and when I moved here, of course, I came and I felt kind of sorry for Detroit, so I picked Detroit as kind of my second team. Originally from Minnesota, so I was a Vikings fan, so I knew about losing. So I wanted to help the Lions, and so
man, they've been looking good though.
They've done pretty good now.
They have. I love their coach. Just the fire that he brings, he's awesome.
I'd play for him right now with 2 bad knees.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Give it at all.
If he said, Rob, I need you to be a linebacker, I'd be a linebacker for Dan Campbell. I'd be like, yeah, I have no knees left, but let's do it.
In our house, I don't know if I've told you this, Rob, but draft night, the first round of the draft, it's a big deal in our house. Like, we bring in all the snacks, all the foods. My wife prepares a whole thing for us. And even up leading this week, like we watch Draft Day, with Kevin Costner. We get prepared for this. It's like our Christmas a little bit,
One of the best movies. The only thing I didn't like about that is that Cleveland traded with the Seahawks. And
that is true.
And they knew they were getting a bad quarterback in the movie. They knew they were getting a guy with questionable,
Yeah, well, they didn't go to his birthday party, right?
So here's
did not go to his birthday party, so they were going to.
You have to know the movie to get that reference.
Yes.
But here's the neat thing about the draft. When I was in school, ESPN started carrying it, and at first, I didn't get, of course, I didn't get to see any of it because it was during the day. If you remember,
I do.
During the day.
Yep.
So how cool my mom was in 8th grade. She let me stay home and watch the draft, which is one of the last years that it
awesome.
was. Yeah. She let me stay home. I watched the draft. Of course, it was like 87 rounds back then. So I think they got through the first 3 or 4 rounds.
They've cut it down to 7 rounds now, but I think it was 16 rounds previous or so. But one of my first memories, Rob, with my dad, like, it was just, the draft was always a big deal, was a 1989 draft. And we were sitting there going over, I knew all the players because I just got into football, doing all these things. And the Broncos were on the clock. And they drafted a guy by the name of Steve Atwater out of Arkansas. And at that time, we're like, who is this guy? We wanted Lou Oliver, that he ended up playing for Miami. And, well, as you see, Steve Atwater ended up being an amazing player, incredible guy that won a couple Super Bowls with the Broncos. And we had no idea who he was at that point.
Wasn't Steve Atwater the one that Steve Largent laid out in that game?
Yes, but also Steve Atwater is the one who hit Christian Okoye and knocked him backwards. Oh, man, Steve Atwater, even in the Super Bowl when they played the Green Bay Packers, he not only knocked himself out, he knocked the other Bronco player out and the wide receiver out, all at the same time, all 3 of them.
those guys that was amazing. And I think those are the memories. Now,
Yes.
For us, sports is the link that kind of is the thread that winds us all together. As far as guys, you can find guys anywhere. I was wearing a Seattle Seahawks hoodie the other day because it still believes at times it's winter here in Ohio. And he was like, yeah, he was talking about he was older gentleman. He was talking about Jim Zorn and Steve Largent, and I'm like, yeah, I remember. I was like, we moved, and I was in second grade. We moved to Seattle, so I became a Hawk fan, and Largent and Zorn were the guys. And see, I think God sometimes has us move to places so that we learn patience, because there was a long, miserable time to be a Seahawks fan.
That is true.
It took a long time for that to happen.
Hey,
But
Rob, you know what? I see.
Oh yes,
everybody. I still got to
I
get
love
your
that.
shirt.
I love
out of
that
the way
cool
so I
thing
can
with the
enjoy it.
design down the middle
Long
too.
sleeve shirt. See, amazing things here. Guys, one of our sponsors, he is King.life. Check this out. Discount code is ATV10, as you see right there. We'll keep the code up on the top of the screen up here where you can check it out. But he is King.life. There's an amazing shirts, hats. I'm getting some new hats, Rob, and I got to get you those shirts.
Yeah, I don't wear hats. I got good hair.
So I have good hair too. See, I can't mess it up.
Yes, you can. That's pretty cool. Hey, listen, we got some great guests on today's show. Tell everybody about our first guest.
We do. Adams, and I'm going to mess up your name, Adam Swedenburg, I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong, but our first guest is Adam, children's and youth pastor, firefighter, EMT, and a new father and host of the Uncharted podcast. Whether he's serving in ministry, showing up in emergencies, or leading deep conversations on faith and growth, Adam lives to serve and lead the next generation towards Christ. Please welcome Adam.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Hey, it's all good. You did mess it up, but hey, it's Swedenburg. But hey, I've heard everything from Swedenburger to Swedentown to everything. So it's a pretty normal thing. I get a laugh out of how all the different things I've heard it.
Well, see, my wife's maiden name is Sternberg, so we got the Berg in there. But yeah, so it's Swedenburg. Okay,
that's right.
I'll remember that now.
His family was actually from Sweden, a Berg in Sweden. That's not good at all.
Awesome. And now you're down in Mississippi.
I am. Yeah, I am. And right here on the coast. It's awesome. Love being on the coast. And yeah, and you're right. The podcast I host is Uncharted, Navigating Faith and Life. So
well, awesome. Well, first, the most important thing that I stated there was you're being a new father.
Yes.
How's that going?
We're at those days. He just turned 6 months, so we're at those days where sleep is starting to come back a little bit more. Thankfully, I'm not too long ago we were waking up 3-4 times throughout the night giving bottles, and now we're waking up like 1 or 2 times. So we're not getting total sleep at night, but man, and a lot better than we were.
Awesome. I have 4 kids. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 5. I've been through the whole gamut. Just remember, each season it's just a season, short-term life, and enjoy every season, even in like the troubles, when you're super tired and just think it's not going to end. Just believe me, you'll wish for those days back. So
that's what I keep hearing. So maybe we'll see.
Well, awesome, brother. Well, I know you being EMT, firefighter, ministry, all of these things, you serve both in church and on the front lines. Like, how do these worlds intersect for you spiritually and emotionally? Because it's got to be tough.
It is tough, but I'll start with the emotional side. With being in the fire world, and I also work in the ER and EMT, and just the things that I've seen over the years, because I've been doing it for 15 years or more, and so the things I've seen, the bodies I've seen, it can take a toll on you. And I ain't gonna lie, there's been nights where I don't get sleep because of what I've seen. Yeah. But all of it's because of God, because of me knowing that this life is not our home. This life is just this place that we call Earth is just a place that we are right now. But if we believe and we know God, then we have a gift of eternal life. So this isn't our forever home. And knowing that, I'm able to use that to, overcome those challenges that I see. And then also I'm there on people's worstest moments. And so I've been able to minister to people. I've been able to pray to people in their worstest days. I've been able to give them a hope in their worst day. And so it goes hand in hand. And without God, I definitely don't think that I'd be able to do and see what I've done.
No, completely get that. I have a lot of close friends and in the emergency space and like that, and having those discussions with them and being able to talk through them, the faith-based side of that, being able to lean on that has definitely helped them. So, and just God bless you for what you do with that space, and even more so in your children's and youth ministry, like how you handle those pieces in there. You see both sides. In the MT side, you kind of probably see some people maybe towards the end of their life with things, but now also in the ministry, you're seeing people with their new spiritual life with the children's and youth ministry. So what are some of the biggest spiritual challenges and opportunities that you see in children and youth today? Because there's a big movement with this.
There is, and I think one of the biggest challenges that we face nowadays is, my generation and generations before me, we were dragged to church, whether we
Mhm.
wanted to be there or not. We were getting dragged by somebody to
Yes.
church, and been a big difference in that because now, unless you're in a big college town, it may be different, but most churches see a small amount of adults from age 20 to age 35. And it's because right now we sadly live in a culture where a lot of the last or to two generations are unchurched, and so now I'm going after the youth, and they're coming from backgrounds that have never been in church. So while that provides opportunity to be able to share the faith with them but also with their parents, that of course also comes with many obstacles and
Mhm.
many challenges.
Yeah, at the National Religious Broadcasting Convention this year, we actually heard that the numbers of Christians are actually rising for the first time in a very long time, especially amongst youth. And in the youth space, we've also seen a rise of males actually coming to Christ more than females, which is the first time in I don't know if it's ever been the case that they've started documenting this thing. So that is incredible to see, and you were at the front lines of that. I really want to get into your Uncharted podcast. I know we talked off the show a little bit about this and how you got into it. It's called Uncharted. I'd love to get into the name of this, but it explores faith and life through honest conversations. What inspired you to start it, and what impact are you seeing with it?
For sure. So yeah, the title Uncharted: Navigating Faith and Life, and so it started as, it's kind of funny because it's definitely been led by God to go a different way, and it's been amazing. Uh, but the original backing behind it was I was sitting in the office one day looking at the four walls that were around me here at the church, and I was like, man, how can I get outside of these four walls and share the gospel with people that might not have a chance to hear it or might not step foot into the church? But not only that, how can like our youth, they have baseball games, football games, soccer, band, whatever it is, so they may not be able to make it every Wednesday. And so I was like, how can I do like a lesson, revised short lesson from Wednesday night that they might be able to jump on here and hear that? And so that's what got me thinking about it. That's what made me start thinking, you know what, a podcast would accomplish that. So then I was like, you know what, let's title it Uncharted: Navigating Faith and Life. And in every episode, we always about a topic that helps the listeners be able to live out their faith in just everyday life. And it's been great because that's what started it. But now it's transitioned to, I have two guests a week plus a solo episode. And it's just amazing where God has led that.
That's awesome, brother. Maybe I can be a guest sometime. I'm just kind of throwing it out there, okay?
Oh, for sure.
But
I'd love
as we finish up here in just a minute or so, one final question I have is: with you being a new father, like, has it changed your view on your purpose and calling? Because I know it did me.
For sure. I never, because of my background,
Mhm.
and everything that I went through myself as a child and early adult, I never imagined me being a father. And so just looking back on my life and where I am now, it's just a blessing that I am a father. And I just want to make sure that like I give my child, our child everything that I can, including things that I wasn't able to have when I was a child.
I completely understand, and I'd love to hear more of that story and that background. Maybe we get you back on to discuss more of those things and go more into your story of this. But Adam, I love what you're doing with Uncharted. I love the ministry aspect. I love what you're doing on the front lines with being a firefighter, EMT. I have a lot of friends in that space. Thank you for what you do.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Adam, can they get the podcast on like Apple and Spotify and all those places?
Oh, for sure. Apple, Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. If you scan that QR code, all my links are there, so you can follow that and be able to see it everywhere on all your favorite platforms.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Hey, man, this has been a good show so far. Really,
right? Adam's
exciting.
Awesome. New father, EMT. Man, he's. I can't wait to hear more about the podcast, and maybe we can be a guest on there, Rob.
Hey, that'd be cool. We always love to do that, and
Yes.
and that is something that we love. We've got some podcasts coming up. They don't let us be together because they fear us as a.
We kind of go off the rails a little bit, Rob.
Yeah, so they have us separately, but that's okay, and we'll plug those coming up on future shows. Man, I'm excited about this next guest.
Oh, me too, and I can't mess up his last name. Our next guest is Jordan Ames. He's a retired Marine Raider, proud father of seven, Rob, and founder of Red Letter Leadership. After 21 years of military service, Jordan turned his focus to developing gospel-centered leadership systems that changed lives and societies. He's also spearheading a long-term anti-human trafficking project in East Africa. Please welcome Jordan. Man, you got your hands on a lot of things, Jordan.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
I'm thinking Jordan doesn't know what sleep is at all with 7 kids. He doesn't even, he just thinks that's like some myth that he's heard of a long time ago.
What is sleep? Yes.
Well, that attests to the hero, which are the military spouses.
Completely,
I was
right?
gone a lot, and she was the one up with kids and getting them from point A to point B, and taking care of their daily well-being and nurturing. So shout out to my beautiful wife, Sarah.
That's amazing, brother. First off, thank you so much for your service. Want to get that out there as we highly respect our military veterans, our military that are serving there. Thank you so much for that piece. I want to start with that. What's the age range of the kids, just so we know?
My youngest is 8. She's our miracle biological baby.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest is 24. So I got 8, 16, 17, 19, almost 21, 23, 24.
Your rate is kind of like mine. I got from 20 to 5, different. Yeah.
Close to Wow. Yeah. 25. Yep.
well, awesome, brother. Well, really want to talk to you about, how you got from military to ministry. Because you served 21 years in the Marines, right?
Yes, sir. Right out of high school, when I was 18. I grew up in a Christian home. Have wonderful parents, and I even right off the bat, I knew I wanted to make sure I was living out my faith every day in the military. Thinking I was going to do 4 years. One thing led to another. God opened certain doors. It turned into a career. And coming out again, I knew whatever it was I was getting into, I knew I wanted to make sure I was living out my faith. That's something we're all called to do. Go and make disciples, right? One thing I got passionate about was wanting to get into leadership development space, just as far as like a coach, consultant type person. But then the whole counter-human trafficking space, in a sense, kind of fell on my lap. I was asked to manage a young project. This was back in September 23. I agreed to it on a volunteer basis, just kind of doing a couple hours a week as far as managing that. The team on the ground, and I don't want to be specific with locations, but the team on the ground are local nationals, and they're doing great work. They're working pretty much around the clock, 7 days a week. And so that kind of, like I said, it fell on my lap, and it's really just growing. And so it's kind of turning into full-time work. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's incredible. It is very needed.
Absolutely.
Before we get into that, I want to start with the Red Letter Leadership and what led you to start that, especially like your military background, how that influences your approach to gospel-based leadership. Because I would think that there isn't necessarily that gospel-based leadership in the Marines, and I could be wrong. But how did you marry those, and how did you start Red Letter Leadership?
Well, like I said, I was raised in a Christian home. Kind of was really devoted to being a disciple of Jesus Christ since high school, and that's where I always got my leadership from. If I learned something or found something that did not follow up with what the Bible is telling me, well, I disregarded that. The thing is all great leadership really is biblically based.
Yes, it
It's
is.
just most leadership trainers, coaches, and stuff that don't have a faith-based brain, they're not saying that, obviously. But a lot of the principles they're talking about, you can tie right back to the Bible. And so one day I was working out. My older brother introduced me to the Jocko Willing podcast. I started listening to him. And of course, I kind of resonate what he was talking about because both coming from a special operations background. And I'm just like, this stuff is awesome. I love what he's sharing. I'm a history guy. I love whenever he would have history stuff on his podcast.
Yep, me too.
And I'm working out. I'm just like, man, what if I did something like this, but was just black and white saying, hey, this is from the Bible. This is Jesus's words. This is his example. And so that's kind of where the vision for it started. Still working on building that out, but Lord really spoke to me. And when I was thinking about, okay, where do I begin? And he really was like, begin in the red letters. So I started Matthew 1, started writing lessons on every passage I was reading, and then elicited some help from teammates of mine who are both still serving. One's getting ready to retire here.
Awesome.
And all 2024 and right into the first week of 2025, we wrote 7 days a week. We ended up writing over 370 leadership lessons from 4 Gospels.
Yeah, I was gonna say that as I was doing some research on things, you've compiled over 370 leadership principles. It's all straight from the Gospels, which is incredible. Yeah. What are a few of your favorites, and how do you apply them today?
Oh wow! I mean, even it's so it's in the publishing process right now, and so we just went through our first round of edits, and I'm rereading some things, and I'm just like, I'm looking at who wrote that. That was pretty good. Whether it was me or whether it was one of the other guys.
It was the Holy Spirit download, right?
Yeah. Really, I love just the basics of, when we think of Christ's leadership, we think of servant leadership. Even non-Christians will be like, oh yeah, feet washing and servant leadership. He was a servant leader. But he was direct when he needed to be direct. He cast vision. From you look from his whole life, he personally developed himself. He humbled himself to God's will in his life with baptism and then being led into the wilderness. And then he started his ministry. And he just started adding, kind of like your previous guest, Adam. Like he's just adding value to people in his community at however ways God's blessing him to be able to do that. That's what Jesus did. He went to Galilee and he just started preaching the good news. He started healing people. He started living out his purpose. And then he started calling people and developing a team. So you get into like organizational leadership aspects. And he developed this team. And one thing that I consider myself a good leader, but there's been many times where I've been a terrible leader, whether that's been professionally or personally. And one thing that encourages me is like God came here to earth. He created a team. He organized them. He led them very well. And even one of them still fell away. Yeah. And so one of the lessons that I wrote there was even Jesus had a Judas. But then he developed that team, and then he developed them as leaders. It wasn't just for them to follow him, but it was for them to go out and create other followers. And you just look at the whole life of Jesus. He's the ultimate leader.
Of course, and if we can follow him in all aspects in leadership, that's huge. I really want to dive into this, the fight against human trafficking, because it is something that is very much needed. It is huge, and people need to be aware of this. So you said you kind of fell into this, and you're developing, this long-term sustainability project in East Africa. What does that project involve, and how can people, get behind it? How can they get involved? Like, what would you say to our audience about this stuff?
Yeah. So thanks for asking. Right now, like I said, I don't want to get into specific locations, but countries in East Africa. And I've been working since 2023. I've been working with an organization on the ground in a border country or a border city, I should say. And the main situation we see are kids that are being coerced. It's not so much kidnapping, but coerced out of their very impoverished situation. And they're being told, hey, there's a better job over in this border country, follow me and I'll get you set up. And they're, what could be worse than what they're already experiencing? So they're like, yeah, I want to go get a job. My family can't pay for the rest of my education, whatever the case. And so what we try to do is interdict that along the border. In 2024 alone, we rescued 135 from human trafficking. And that is a big number for, we have 4-person team. We have a director, we have a liaison officer, so we can be closely tied in with the local police. And we have a 2-person foot patrol. But that's like, if it was a fire hose of water coming out, it's like sticking your finger in the fire hose to try and stop it. And that's about our impact right now. But those are 135 lives.
Yeah,
right? So
it's still huge it's a small number, but it's a start, and it's something that can grow. Man, God bless you for what you guys are doing there. That is super, super incredible. We got about a minute and a half here left, Jordan. One thing I want to bring in here is, your faith and how it's shaped your approach in leadership, justice, and then, with your background in being an ex-Marine. I guess you're always Marine, not an ex-Marine. And, with the human trafficking piece, but you've seen a lot of brokenness in the world. How does your faith help you with all of these things?
Yeah, I think similar to what Adam said, your previous guest, it is really God provides all the hope. Even in the darkest times, the darkest valleys, we can still be filled with joy because we know what is our destination. We are citizens of heaven. We're only here for a time, and it's up to us to really do the Lord's work to make sure there's other souls that come with us. And just if I could just add, I'm working on developing a landing page on my own website, redletterleadership.com, and I'm going to develop a landing page so that people can go there for what we are now rebranding. It will be called the Red Letter Project. And people will be able to go to that page to donate and keep in contact with us.
Name that one more time. What was it?
Redletterleadership.com.
Redletterleadership.com, which that's on the QR code right here. Click that so you can check more out and get in contact with Jordan here. Jordan, God bless what you guys are doing with the human trafficking piece, what you've done in your past. Thank you for being, a Marine, and great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, the page isn't up yet. The website is up. It needs work, but I'll be working on the landing page shortly. So thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, sir, for being with us. Hey, man. Wow, this day just went by so fast.
It has.
You like to switch us, don't you? I wonder.
Well, because you like that side better. We just flip off. But hey,
at the end of the show, they're going, "What's he doing?" Stop that. Yes.
But Rob, man, another show, and it goes so fast. Like the guests, we get into great conversations. Love to have more conversations with them. We'll get them back on with some more in-depth stuff, but some good guests.
Hey, always is. God is so good, and it's just been another great week. And we appreciate each and every one of you that watch every week and share it with your friends. And you know what, Jason and I, our heart is that you go out and thrive.